That's a fucking racket, nigga. That's a racket, 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 racket. And that, my friends, is what I said about neocolonialism in the sport of boxing. That is exactly what that is. You are sucking everything out of that shit and taking it out and leaving the fighter with nothing but debt.
Again, not knowing that the government agencies that they've been calling government were actually subdivisionals of the Vatican. So you can see why almost every time the so-called city councils and legislators uh, for the United States or their subdivisional states of entities, every time they make a legislation, it's always a tax attack against the people. And it hasn't dawned on the people that these people were vampiring them. They were never serving the people. They're serving themselves under the Inquisition. And the IRS is their collection arm.
All right, peace. What it do? All right, so this pipe popped up on Twitter the other day. Somebody tweeted it. Well, this channel I'm finna show you this for non-boxing channel. Shout out to the brother. Tweeted this. He retweeted from somebody else. This is a case. This is a boxer who is suing his promoter. And what's interesting about it is number one, he's suing one of the most influential promoters in boxing, Bob Arum, top rank boxing promotional company. Bob Arum.
If what he's accused of in this court case is true, dog, Bob Arum, man, you a bitch, dog. You a bitch, man. I'm gonna call you a bitch. Lawyer to lawyer, dog. You're a bitch, dog. Lawyer to lawyer, you're a bitch, man. That shit you were accused. If you did that shit to Rob Brandt, dog, you are running a fucking racket, nigga. You are running a fucking racket. A slave machine racket.
All right, racket, a racketeering. Racketeering is a genre of organized crime which perpetrators set up a coercive, fraudulent, or otherwise illegal scheme, a racket, to repeatedly collect money or profit. So you see what falls under racketeering. So you understand what the brother means. But one of the most obvious is fraud. Okay, this lawsuit is concerning fraud. He Tyson Fury promoter. And anybody who know boxing know Tyson Fury cheated Deontay Wilder in their last fight. And it's a lot of other shady shit tied to Bob Arum.
That is hey, seriously, man. I read that shit. They put that shit up on Twitter. I retweeted it. I was disgusted by the accusations. Disgusted. Disgusted. It's worse than I've ever heard anybody. I've never heard anybody say Don King has done anything like that. Anything like that. That is terrible what he did to Rob Brandt, man. What he was involved with. And you can't tell me, dog, that ain't Bob Arum, dog. You can't tell me. That's why he got joined to that case, man.
But this right here just showing how shady it is. Now, the whole point in this video is to show you how they be fucking us over with these contracts.
But we'll go over that in a minute, dog. Seriously, if any of you guys deal with any people that deal with Bob Arum, dog, you need to go find some fucking body else, man. That fuck job he did on that young boy Rob Brandt, dog. That shit was just fucking economic assassination.
Every time they make a legislation, it's always a tax attack against the people. And it hasn't dawned on the people that these people were vampiring them. They were never serving the people. They're serving themselves under the Inquisition. And the IRS is their collection arm.
He just assassinated that dude's career. Assassinated it. No doubt. If I'm reading the contract right, if what he said is true, Rob Brandt would have been better off retiring than signing that contract. He'd have been better off retiring.
Because, you know what I'm saying, we don't read for one reason or another. And this boxer right here, brother named Robert Brandt from he a citizen of Texas. Shout out to the brother. I'm in Texas. He wasn't no fool. You know what I'm saying? They screwed him over, but you know he coming back now. He was on top of his game, and hopefully he win this case because he should. Because just show you real quick part of this video and part of this video, and they're gonna be explaining it. Bob Arum, the biggest thief in boxing. You see what I'm saying? And I just want to show you how it's analogous to the United States of America. And essentially, the main part of what made me do this video is this part right here of the case. As you can see, he's suing these. You can read it if you like. He's suing these people. Da 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 da. Right? He's suing this guy, Greg Cohen. Now, in this video, somebody in this live stream, somebody had said, didn't the dude just get out of fraud? The Cohen, look, Cohen just came home from fraud, right?
He said Cohen just came home from fraud shit, right? All it said there was that he had a bad reputation. That's all it said. I didn't do the research on Cohen. I didn't need to know the only way that you can do this shit, nigga, is if you running some fucking mob shit. The fuck out of here, nigga. That's all that shit is. That sounds like some 1930s mob shit. Straight out of some 1930s mob shit, bro. What that contract is. You have to collude to do that, man.
So, quick Google search. Boxing promoter Greg Cohen busted for wire fraud. Ain't that a bitch? And he going to prison. Or he either is already is in prison or is going. He probably did a month and came out. You know how they do for their people. Because Cohen, he's a Jewish guy, right? Right? And the brother gonna make that point as well. But anyway, you can see right around this time from April 2017 to December 2017, he was defrauding a victim. All right, so he was doing some fraud shit. He was finna go to jail for. They was on his ass, right? So right here, this is, and like I say, this is what made me do the video. In 2015, Mr. Bryant entered into a promotional contract with the entity called Greg Cohen Promotions, right? All right, hold on. I see that Cohen is spelled different. I just now peeped it. Gotta be the same person though. Let me see something. Yeah, that's this Cohen spelled with an E. But now they actually say the fighter on here though. Let me show you. Robert. Hold on. What's the dude's name? Robert something. I just want to show you to make sure it's the same person. Bryant. Because I know that I guess that could be different, but it's not. Because I just seen this. Damn, I thought I did. Yeah. Ex-middleweight titleist Rob Brandt. There it is. Cohen, who worked with notable pugilists like Hanson Wright, Hasim Rodman. Oh, that's the dude who got knocked out by Lennox Lewis. And then Rob Brandt, yeah. Will serve time, then be on probation for 3 years. Okay, so just to double check, make sure I'm talking about the right person. I don't want to defraud nobody's name, you know what I mean? So this dude, right, so right around that time, he was scheming, right? So what he did was
not the initial contract, but the contract that they signed in secret with the promoters. He signed 2 contracts. He came up with a separate agreement with the promoter and then struck a deal between the promotional companies. Struck a deal with a guy under his name, Greg Cohen or whatever it is, and then struck a deal with Greg Cohen Promotions. That is scummy. And Bob Arum entered into the contract with both of those entities. That is a violation of that fucking Ali Act, dog. That is a massive violation of the Ali Act. And it's fucking racketeering, dog. And that shit's racketeering. I'll bet you money that shit's racketeering. You can't pull no shit off like that without racketeering, dog. You can't pull no shit off like that without racketeering, dog. That's some Rico shit. I'm telling you, that's some Rico shit.
With his promotional company, right? His name and then LLC. That agreement was amended in April of 2018 when Rapash Rapaza Boxing LLC and Greg Cohen Boxing, you see, it's changed, right? LLC entered into an agreement to partner promoting him, Robert Brandt. Upon information and belief at that time, Cohen knew that he was under federal investigation for fraud, but failed to disclose the fact despite contractual obligation to operate and negotiate in good faith at all times. So they signed these contracts knowing they lying to you. All right, Mr. Bryant, he won the title. And then they told Top Rank wanted to sign him.
All right, so this is what he did. Rob Brandt was signed to a promotional deal with a guy named Cohen. Cohen. Let me make sure of something. Cohen. Yes, it is. So, Rob Brandt has a contract with a guy named Cohen. That I do believe, completely coincidentally, is a Jewish guy named Cohen. He strikes a deal with Cohen to promote him. Rob Brandt then becomes aware that Top Rank wants to sign him. So Rob Brandt, this is what Rob Brandt is alleging. Rob Brandt tells Greg Cohen, yeah, I'm interested in signing with Top Rank, but all the negotiations have to go through me. All the negotiations have to go through me. That's what he instructed his promoter to do. You know, the promoter they say works for you to get your fights. He tells the promoter, yeah, I want a deal with Top Rank, but you have to put all of it, all the communications through me. And then, yeah, we can do it. Presumably because Rob Brandt isn't stupid. Sounds like something that ain't stupid. So, what does Rob Cohen do? What does Cohen do? Cohen goes to Bob Arum and negotiates a deal while Rob Brandt is on his honeymoon and out of the country. When Rob Brandt comes back from his vacation, Cohen says, we got an offer from Top Rank. It's take it or leave it. If you don't sign it now, they're going to pull it off the table. So Rob says, I have to talk to Top Rank directly. They ignore that. They go right to Top Rank while he's on vacation and then get a deal done and is presented to him in a do it now or it's off the table fashion. That's duress. That's duress. So anyway.
All right, so the brother said duress. Now, duress consists in any illegal imprisonment or legal imprisonment. Look at that. Illegal or legal imprisonment used for illegal purpose, or threats of bodily or other harm or other means amounting to or tending to coerce the will of another. The acting induce him to do an act contrary to his free will. So, you know, basically a threatening type of a thing with coercion. Coercion. I know why that word's so hard to say. Extortion, right? Um, and influence. You know, influencing somebody, bullying, if you will. A condition where one is induced by a wrongful act or a threat of another to make a contract under circumstances which deprive him of exercise of his free will. So when they told him, you know, this take it or leave it, right? Just like the brother just told you, when they rushed him, that's duress under law. All right. So technically that contract is void anyway. But let's go back to racketeering real quick, just to show another point that the brother he keep hammering this home, because the RICO, he said RICO Acts, just FYI. And then look, come down here. It's another one I want to show you. Showed you fraud, but look at this one: illegal gambling, bookmaking, and match fixing. Match fixing. Let's go here. This site, and I didn't look at all these, just to glance at them. Anyway, top 10 sports conspiracies that are totally true. Right, Dan Carlson, whoever that is. Um, and he's not saying that they 100% true. He's, you know, speculating, what have you, of course, right? Because they talking about Ali's punch, which you know, who knows? That did kind of look fake. You know, Sonny Liston is kind of turning around 30 times. So he could have got up, seems like. But anyway, even Ali was looking at, you know, get up. You know, anyway. Um, Bob Arum, as you can see, fixed Pacquiao Bradley. I think they fought like 4 times, and I think Pacquiao won all of them except one, I think, or they had a draw with one of them or something. and he won the other two or something like that. But apparently, uh, Arum fixed this one. I wonder which one this was anyway. It'd be interesting to find out which one this was. Most plausible theory behind the bunk decision is that promoter Bob Arum, who represents both Bradley and Pacquiao, paid off judges to guarantee a Bradley win, which he apparently admitted to this in some other case, which I probably could find, but I'm not finna do it. Boxing, Arum admits bribe over Foreman fight. Promoter Bob Arum has admitted in New Jersey courtroom that he paid $100,000 in bribes to Bobby Lee, International Boxing Federation (IBF) president, in order to have the fight approved between then heavyweight champion George Foreman and Alex Soles of Germany. Bob Promoter Bob Arum, this was in 2000. Damn, this is 21 years ago. Think he ain't still getting it done, getting it on? Bob Arum has admitted in a New Jersey courtroom that he paid $100,000 in bribes. It was one of the stupidest and worst things in my life. You don't give a fuck about Rob Brandt. I agreed to the payment, what I consider to be very, very weak moment. And look, Lee faces 38 charges of racketeering. So there he goes. And the case continues. Yeah, even after this case, the case continued. But anyway, I found another article. I just want to show you this real quick. It's the same thing, Bob Arum admitting to bribery, etc. But look at this. Federal judge deliberated 15 days for finding Robert Lee innocent on all but 6 of the 33. It's just always in there. Coincidence, right? So there you go, Bob Arum, fucking crook. The reason behind this theory is that Pacquiao was 33 years old, Freemason shit, was ripening for retirement, and Arum wanted to crown a new champion in his own corner. Also, by losing the fight in a contentious manner, the rematch would guarantee to make him more money.
You dirty motherfucker!
Look at that's racketeering, man. That's racketeering right there. Alright, so back to the story. He went on a honeymoon and they tried to rush him. When he came back, they tried to rush him with the agreement to make him sign, right? Okay, and it says, so right then he executed 2 documents. That means he signed 2 documents. One was a release for his prior promotional agreement, and the second was a co-promotional rights agreement, right? So they got a copy of that, and they got this 2 right here, and it says it's some redactions at the requested top rank, which is interesting. The motherfuckers but that could be personal information, obviously. So I guess that makes sense. But anyway, Greg Cohen Promotion LLC was not party to the promotional agreement. Instead, it was Greg Cohen individually with a DBA doing business as Greg Cohen Promotions. So he took the LLC out, formed a DBA, which is a different type of a business, basically, all caps name type of thing, and then named it Greg Cohen Promotions. We now believe on information and belief that this was to avoid creditors of Greg Cohen Promotions LLC, but his purpose is immaterial to this actions. So just to show you how these is 2 different companies, Greg Cohen Promotions LLC and Greg Cohen Promotions. These is 2 different companies, but to the average person, you would assume this is the same. It's the same person. It's the same company. Same thing. Blah 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 blah. Right? But just to show you how they rename something the same name and drop one letter or change the format of it. Right? From an LLC to a DBA or what have you, and then they can operate in a different like in a new capacity. Even though we know they crooked, is the same person operating the thing. So this is what they did. You can read. They was robbing him. But the main thing I want you to see is how they just took $100,000 straight out the man's pocket. So his next match was against Murata, and as a part of the inducement for Mr. Bryan to accept the rematch, a 3rd bout against Murata was promised, and indeed there was a rematch clause in the contract to sound like what Deontay Wilder going through right now. And Murata's promoter, again, defendants did not provide an aliac statement to Mr. Bryant. He lost, and then he wanted to exercise his rematch clause, right? And I wonder if they drugged him or cheated him. But anyway, I ain't gonna go down that road right now. Um, Numerous reasons were given to the defendant not to pursue the matter, so they convinced him not to try to pursue the fight because they had something else going. Because he just lost to a dude who finna fight Charlo, I believe. So Mr. Bryan, the representative, asked, "Do I got some step aside money then?" Right? Because you know what I'm saying. Since I'm not getting my rematch that I contracted for, what's my step aside money? They told him, "Nah, ain't no step aside money." Right? That was untrue. Mr. Bryan later learned that $100,000 was paid on behalf of the defendants in connection with the interim Murata bout characterized by Cohen employee as step aside fee. Just took the man $100,000 and didn't even tell him. Crooked as shit, man. Crooked as shit. So once I want you to see how they do that name thing, and then peep what the elder says right here, and then you'll you'll see how the United States did the same thing. Okay, so check it out.
And the original United States, etc., at North America. And that government at North America, having a Republican form of government, was set forth and established at Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution. And as you know, that Constitution was adopted from Honesty Confederation of Moors at the North. And the treaty and the Constitution stands as a supreme law of the land. Now, that organic Constitution to which these German hybrid tribes, were obligated, that was altered and by acts of misprision, and was secretly overthrown and converted into a foreign, privately owned, and deemed for profit corporation in the year 1871. And for those of you who are sharing with us tonight at the House of Reawakening Minds, you do research on the Act of Congress 1871. Thank you. That's mine. Give me. I wanted you to. I want some of that. But I want you to see what it says. Yes, 1871. That's sparkling water, right? That's the water from the spring that they brought. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, that there is synchronicity. Synchronicity. Yeah. Since 1871. 1871. Yeah. On the bottle cap. Now, that Act of Congress of 1871 was an act of misprision and the foreign feudal law entity, which was born of treaty treason, filed as a United States Corporation Company, which is now commonly referred to as the U.S. democracy. That's important for people to know that. And so, by them not knowing that corporate platform is actually the Roman Curia operations of the Jesuit order of the Inquisition. And it's interesting how you can even give people copies of the corporation papers for the United States Corporation, but they have been brain trained into thinking that the United States U.S. democracy is the physical aggregate body politic country, which it was not and is not, and actually belongs to the Vatican. And it's really interesting how, while all of that is documented, how difficult it is to get people to do the research and to look at this information on their own and change their state of mind. They recognize that taxes are not inevitable and that they actually never apply to them. That's probably what a lot of people are wondering. So if they do not apply to us, how do we avoid them, circumvent them, get out of, not be entangled with? Get out from under her. That, yeah, but how? I'm talking jurisdiction. Oh, jurisdiction. Okay. So now you got to look at what we talked about before. Linguistic capital, which is where they use the capital letters writing people's names, which the people don't know, and grammar designates them as a corpse or the dead. And then, of course, the vampire lives off the blood of the dead. And this is another expression in the rituals that they use of sacrificing actual human bodies and drinking their blood, where they do the ritual of the cracker, and then they say the wine represents the blood. Communion. Actually, communion. Yes, communion. and most people never suspected that this was actually a ritual of their actual
Human
activity
sacrifice. Yeah.
of torturing humans. But again, again, not knowing that the government agencies that they've been calling government were actually subdivisionals of the Vatican. So you can see why almost every time the so-called city councils and legislators uh, for the United States or their subdivisional states of entities, every time they make a legislation, it's always a tax attack against the people. And it hasn't dawned on the people that these people were vampiring them. They were never serving the people. They're serving themselves under the Inquisition. And the IRS is their collection arm. And the fact that people thought that the IRS is some recent thing that, that was set up, during the 1913 operations of Woodrow Wilson administration counter Nubal Ali's establishment of the Old Canaanite Temple to restore the estates of the Moors, particularly in North America, and then to the world. And much of that will be expressed in the divine warning by the prophet to the nations, to wake the people up. And that was one of the major organizational countermeasures to the Inquisition operations of the Popes of Rome and the IRS, which is used even to this day to impoverish the people and to steal their resources and their labors. And of course, people would join labor unions not knowing that the labor unions were actually part of the Vatican. And so you can see over the years how the labor unions have actually betrayed the workers and actually been used against the workers, the workers not knowing that the leaders of these unions were actually in corporate bed with the corporations, and all of them were designed to drain the resources of the people in the name of helping the people. The same way that the priesthood, under the name of the 501c3,
I'm joined now by the chairman of the Congressional Black Caucus, Congressman Emanuel Cleaver, Democrat from Missouri, who is also an ordained minister. Congressman, it's good to see you. Good morning.
Good to be with you.
So you've got this big summit tomorrow. Essentially, what is your message to several hundred clergy members, I understand, who will be there?
Yes, we'll have representatives from 9 denominations who actually pastor somewhere in the neighborhood of about 10 million people. And we're going to, first of all, equip them with the information they need to know about what they can say and what they cannot say in the church that would violate their 501c3 status with the IRS. In fact, we're going to have the IRS administrator there. We're going to have the Attorney General, Eric Holder, there. We're going to have the lawyers organization from around the country, the ACLU, all giving ministers guidance on what they can and cannot do.
Lyndon Baines Johnson Skull and Bones Agreement thought that they were, tax exempt because they were honoring Jesus and not knowing that actually they were just simply military operations of the popes of Rome for controlling the people, etc., and exploiting them. It's really interesting, and so much of the confusion that people have in relationship to what they thought religion was is in itself an important aspect of study for helping to redeem humanity. And again, it's why it's important for people to understand the politics of what they thought was government operating today in these contemporary times is really not in service to the people, but the people themselves were actually being served up by these people, etc. And that death and taxes were causing injury to the people who did not serve the popes of Rome, etc. Were jailed. Now they have a better understanding and comprehension of the POW camps that are actually instituted across the land, and which are really private POW camps of the popes of Rome and members of the Roman Curia under the guise of U.S. government agencies, when actually they're attacks on the Aboriginal indigenous people, mainly under Inquisition operations. And that continues to this very day. And so again, in relationship to people making what we call claim of reversion of their estates and putting all of their property and the fruits of their labor in trust to start protecting it from these pseudo, de facto pseudo government agencies that they thought were creatures of the Constitution and treaties, which they are absolutely not. Once that is comprehended by the people themselves can start intelligently speaking up and stop volunteering into the tithing system of the IRS and making contracts with them that create liabilities against their own estate that the people, for the most part, was not aware that the estate not only included land, air, and water, and their physical property, but also their rights and their liberties, which is again why civics, as a general rule, has not been taught. Or you'll see people who are party to the dark priesthood will condemn anyone who teaches civics and constitutional principles because it exposes the fraud of the circle, church, and chancery of the chambers of hell coming from the Vatican that is operative in almost every government on the planet.
That's a fucking racket, nigga. That's a racket. And that, my friends, is what I said about neocolonialism in the sport of boxing. That is exactly what that is. You are sucking everything out of that shit and taking it out and leaving the fighter with nothing but debt.